is Rock Queen 71 coming at you live from my headquarters in Rocklahoma. How's it going? It's the day after one of the darkest days in America. On one of the darkest days of America, which is September 11th. And yesterday was another dark chapter in American history, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I hope you all out there are doing well. I hope you got some sleep last night. I hope that you prayed for Charlie, his family, his close friends, Turning Point USA. I hope you prayed for this country. I know I did, and I still continue to pray for this country. I welcome you to my channel. And I've been saying this many, many times on here. If you disagree with me, that's okay. If I disagree with you, that's okay. I have an open mind, and you should have an open mind also. And that's what Charlie Kirk wanted. He wanted to have a debate to see what your thoughts are on certain matters. And I'm the same way. So, I'm getting bitten up here. I needed to come out here, outside, to touch the grass, to touch the dirt. Otherwise, I would still be in my house watching everything and anything about Charlie Kirk and what's going on with the manhunt on catching his assassin. I will admit, guys, I am Charlie Kirk fatigued. I'm not even thinking about 9/11. Charlie Kirk's assassination overshadowed 9/11. We'll never forget 9/11. What happened that day. I know I won't. Ever. Because I almost died that day, and that's a story in itself. But I will never forget Charlie Kirk on what he stood for. What his values were. What his morals were. What his dreams were for this country. And those that died on 9/11, well, they had families. had spouses, they had children, they had brothers and sisters and family and close friends, and you know, I'm not trying to take away from that. 24 years ago, one of the darkest days in American history. But so was yesterday. And I did 2 streams yesterday. One was outside, and here I was all fired up, and I had my tablet, and my back was hurting because I was, carrying all this stuff outside and trying to set things up, and my mind was racing and all that, and here I'm trying, today it's a little bit different. When I was streaming outside live yesterday, Dying Breed Media, I'm so thankful for him. He was here on the stream right now, so I can thank him. He took out a phrase from the King James Bible from John, and I forget what phrase it was. And then right after that, he knew how stressed out I was, or just he saw the angst in my voice. He saw the angst in my mannerisms and my voice, and he said to me, "Take your time. Take your time." And all the time while I was thinking, I should really restart the stream, and all that stuff, and because I was unprepared for this. I was unprepared. I wanted to, and I kept on, it's like I wanted to speak out about what happened with Charlie Kirk. And I think I was one of the first channels, maybe not, I don't know, to say that a Christian was murdered yesterday in Utah. And I still feel that way. I still feel that way. I feel there's like a void. I didn't get much sleep last night because I was down the rabbit hole. I was watching Megyn Kelly. I was watching Benny Johnson, and a few other channels about Charlie Kirk. I was watching a video with Megyn Kelly where she learned, in her panel, learned that Charlie Kirk got shot. They don't know what his condition was. This was right before he died. And so Glenn Beck, joined, and his daughter Cheyenne was in the audience. Actually, she was right by that tent where he got shot at. Okay. Um, and Megan Kelly was like, I don't know if that video is fake or not. And I was like, what? Megan, are you serious? But this is where the world is when it comes to seeing things, whether they're real, you don't know if they're real or not. And she was in denial. And you could see the 5 stages of grief with Glenn Beck and Megan. I was going through it. I'm sure you were too. So, to me, yesterday's live stream was just to get out what I could get out of my head, to get out of my head, right? And I didn't know how to feel. I mean, I was angry. I was like, why? I think we all know why. Then yesterday, after the first live stream, I said, well, I'm going to go in my studio. Despite not having my external hard drive, to try to do a stream. And lo and behold, my Streamlabs, all my scenes were intact. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, it's a miracle. It would have been a greater miracle if Charlie Kirk survived it. Even if he did survive, guys, he would have been a vegetable. He was already brain dead when all that blood was just oozing and just gushing out of his neck. They said he had a pulse. Okay, yeah. You can have a pulse, but you can still be brain dead. He didn't know what hit him. I think the miracle will be when people are going to stand up and believe and say what is wrong. What is the truth? What the truth is that they believe in Jesus Christ, our Savior. That he died on the cross. And he spilled blood for all of us. For all of our sins. I think there should be a rally. A turning point. But to do it in the right way, not to burn down houses or towns or, you know, ambush people, but to do it in the spirit of Charlie Kirk. Megyn Kelly said last night that she was supposed to do a speaking engagement at Virginia Tech. And when I heard that, I said they should still have it. They should still have it in honor, in the spirit of Charlie Kirk, with a lot of security. You know what? Me? Hi, honey. I should have a rally? Well, I should have, just like we were talking about, you know, the wildfire, the Queen's Light Brigade, creating a wildfire change. To diminish the darkness in the world. And I know we're not going to get rid of it all, guys, but we're going to fight like hell to get rid of it. Preaching the gospel. Huh. Yeah, who would have thought? I always... I think I'm leaning more towards having more of a relationship with Jesus. I know he died on the cross for us and for all our sins, but I think now I want to have more of a relationship with Jesus. I think there was a lot of fighting back and forth with God with a lot of things. I feel like my church let me down. And I was angry at that, but yet I was searching for something, searching for another church, maybe searching for something, but in reality, it should be searching for more ways to have a relationship with Jesus. It's like that song by U2. You know, I still haven't found what I'm looking for back in the 80s. I think it came out in 86 or 87. And even though I put down the drugs and the alcohol, I guess I was still searching. I would go to different channels like Journey Church or the, I'm not gonna I shouldn't even say their name. I even just recently, a few weeks ago, when a televangelist named Jimmy Swaggart I saw an article that he was dying, or you know, and all that, and and so I went on his channel, and this pastor, this televangelist, has a past, okay, but it was something familiar from my childhood. When when after my grandmother, my mom, and I went to church, we would turn on the TV, and he would be on Channel 5, WNYW, Channel 5. And, you know, the church day or the church services would continue, right? So, I go on Jimmy Swaggart's channel, and I'm thinking, why am I here? Well, I know he's a fraud. And he is a fraud. I was searching for something. I was searching for answers and stuff. And yeah, some of the stuff that his son was saying, Gabriel. No, Gabriel is alright, Gabriel Swaggart is his grandson. Alright. Donnie Swaggart is Jimmy Swaggart's son. And of course, there was things that were said that I could relate to and say, oh yeah, no. But deep down, it's like I wasn't really being fulfilled by what they were saying, because back here I knew that they were a fraud. When Jimmy Swaggart's funeral came about, guess what they did? Oh, my father, and Donnie said this, oh, my father, was poking me saying, you better get that $10,000 check and stuff. And it was off-putting. They were asking for money at his funeral. We're going off topic here. I apologize for that. But I think, it's like, there's a saying, if you talk the talk, you better walk the walk. Well, Charlie Kirk did that. I try to do it. Sometimes I should use my own advice, I'll admit. And stuff. But people are afraid to hear the truth. Jesus said, I am the truth, the way, and the life through God, through my Father. Right? Kids today want to know the truth. Even if it's scary, hurtful. And I think that's why a lot of these kids looked up to Charlie. That's why a lot of people looked up to Charlie. Because he was a mouthpiece for them. God speaks through people. He did a show, a podcast, and the guy asked him, "What do you want to be remembered for? What's your legacy going to be?" And he's like, "What, when I die? What, you know?" And he said that he just wanted to be remembered for his courage and faith. God bless him. I talk about God a lot. You know, I talk about, God puts people in our lives for a reason, whether it be good or bad. God puts situations in our lives, good or bad. I admired Charlie because he died for the cause. He died because of his faith. How many of us can say that? Will we die for what we believe in? Will we die for what we stand for? Will we die for our Christianity? For our faith in Jesus? And you have to think about that. You saw all these beheadings way back when, and Christians are so persecuted. One died yesterday. If somebody walked up to you with a gun to your head and asked you, "Do you believe in Jesus Christ?" What are you going to say? Of course, right now you're going to say, "Yeah, I'm going to say I believe in Jesus Christ." Because there's no gun to your head. Charlie, when you really think about it, had a gun to his head. Well, 200 yards, okay? He died because he had to believe in his faith. So now we're dealing with the aftermath of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Now what? I was thinking about this yesterday. Even my husband was saying, "Hey, now it's time to create a wildfire of change." Even though my stance wouldn't be so political, it would be for people that are struggling with drugs, alcohol, and or mental illness. That's my stance. I stand with him with what he believed in, and also his Christian faith. I'm Christian. And just a reminder, guys, September is National Recovery Month. If you're celebrating recovery, whether it be drugs, alcohol, and mental illness, you can recover from depression, anxiety, OCD, whatever. Celebrate it. Don't be ashamed to celebrate your recovery or somebody else's that you love. And just keep on keeping on. Service others, help others, inspire others. Share your experience, strength, and hope with other people that are struggling with drugs and alcohol. Like what I do. I only do this to help people. You know why? Because I was given a gift by God. I should have been dead years ago, but I'm still here because I have a voice and I'm going to use it to share my experience, strength, and hope with you so you too can have a better life. Yeah, life isn't a bed of roses. Life has its ups and downs. Life has its tragedies, like 9/11 and what happened to Charlie Kirk yesterday. But life can be beautiful. And life can be fulfilling. Especially when you help others. Lend a hand. Maybe a shoulder to cry on. Just by talking to people. You know? It makes a world of difference, guys, believe me. So I am creating a wildfire change. I know I'm making an impact in this world. I want to do more. I want to do more. But people just aren't, a lot of people aren't looking for recovery streams. Or mental health streams. But I'm telling you guys, the world has an epidemic of mental illness. More than ever. And all also there's September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Day. If you or anybody that you know that are struggling with drugs and alcohol and or mental illness, especially now what was happening yesterday with Charlie Kirk and maybe, with 9/11 today, or for whatever reason, you can always talk to me in the chat. Take my hand. Take my hand. I'll be with you. I'll go on that journey with you. I won't let go. But if you don't feel comfortable talking to me, which I understand, and so because it's like, well, I'm not going to put that out on the internet. I understand that. But if you really need somebody to talk to, please pick up your phone and dial 988. 988 is a suicide crisis lifeline. Trained counselors are on call 24/7, 7 days a week, including holidays. And what's best out of the whole thing, it's free and confidential. And if you're in the military, if you're a veteran, or even deployed, first of all, I thank you for your service. Because right now, our freedoms are dying. They're being cut. Hey, what's up, 242424? Let me give you a hug, buddy. Cyber hugs, buddy. How's it going? You doing all right? I know it's been a rough couple of days. I know that. I know. It's hitting everybody hard. Except for the crazy ones, but yeah. And 2-4, it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse before it gets better. But we have to stand firm. We have to, look up in the sky. Whether you believe in Jesus or not, just have your faith in him, because he's in control, believe it or not. I always fight him over control. But he always wins, right? I'm getting bit up here. So 2-4, let me ask you. When you heard about Charlie Kirk and all that, tell me how you felt about it. There's no right or wrong answer. If you knew about Charlie Kirk, maybe you didn't. You felt indifferent because you really didn't know what his stance was. You didn't really know about him, so it really didn't, I didn't know him and stuff. I didn't personally know him. I know what he was about and all that, but I think it affected me because it's like, it could have been me. And all that. Or it could have been Jim being shot. Or it could have been you. Or it could have been your cousin or your family member or whatever. Nobody's safe anymore. Maybe you had an argument with a cashier at Walmart and all of a sudden they pull out a gun and shoot you because, of a price check. You don't know. You know what I mean? We have to make it stop. We have to let our voices be heard. And believe me, my voice will be heard. $2025 has been a rough year, an insane year, with the plane crashes that were happening. But it's just with the wildfires, we almost lost our house because of the wildfire. Hence, that's why, I'm going to have a show called The Wildfire, creating a wildfire change to diminish the darkness in the world. And I know we're not going to get all of the guys, but we're going to fight like hell to get rid of it. Even more so, I pretty much did the same thing as Shirley Kirk. Only with different topics, but I mean, we talked about everything. Politics, religion, sobriety, methods of treatment. I tell you guys out there, if you disagree with me with what I have to say, that's fine. Just have an open mind, and if I disagree with you on certain things, I have an open mind. But I do it with the camera. There's a few times, like out in Walmart, I spoke to Strong Tower. They would set up tables so they could sell trinkets they made. It was support their rehab facility. And I've done that. I've talked my story, whatever. But I was never in fear that I was going to get shot in the back or in the head. And we have to... It's getting dark. And I have to... At least I don't have my tablet with me. So, if this goes, I call it Minecrafty, where it's all like glitchy and all that stuff, I apologize. I'm trying to move to where I can put on a light. Look at that. You see the sunset? All right, we're going. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I know it's getting dark. Hey. Well, you put a few twigs on the wildfire, honey. Oh, there's Lunar. And there's no chair. And I have to get the chair. And we're going to put the... You know what? We're going to do this. I'm still here, guys. I'm still here. So, let's light up the American flag in honor of Charlie Kirk, huh? It's so worse than it is. always have this on, but there you go. Whoops. There you go, guys. How about that? I know it's backwards because I don't film like with the back end of the cell phone. But hold on. Now, I guess we have to. I don't know if this is gonna work or not. I've done it before. There you go. Whoops. All right. Yeah, I think I have to keep moving. Now, it's still a little dark, I think, right? A little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's not the best lighting, but cheers, guys. Job Monster is the only rocket fuel for this rocket queen. Hell yeah! I will admit, guys, that just being out here and not in front of the TV screen and going down the rabbit hole with Charlie Kirk stuff, my anxiety's down. I'm in a much more of a relaxed state. You know what? I mean, I'm sure you guys all remember about 9/11 when it happened. like I said, I almost died on 9/11. I had a friend, Marty Egan Jr., who was a firefighter, died on 9/11. Uh, I should have been dead. What happened was I was at a friend's house. I was, passed out on the couch. A friend of mine woke me up. And of course, I was still in a haze and a daze and whatever. And he's like, "Yeah, the city's no more. New York City's gone." And I thought I was in a dream. I'm like, what are you talking about? Get out of here. He said, no, no, no. Look on the TV. And sure, we thought New York City was, forget it. We overslept. We were supposed to go back to the city on the PATH train. Now, the PATH train goes right underneath the World Trade Centers. And at that time, we would have been smushed. I think, at 8:49 or something like that? 9. Yeah, we would have been smushed. So thank God we overslept, but we had to pay a little higher price in the dope and go somewhere else. I think they stopped all train service too in Jersey. I think, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, but yeah, here I am. Here we are, doing our thing, getting high, whatever, and we're just watching everything unfold. Like some of you just had to watch. You know what's going on, and and at that time, we were Americans. We weren't Republicans or Democrats. We weren't conservatives or liberals. We were Americans. We were like this. We joined forces. We stood together for this country. Hell, remember those flags that you put on the cars? Well, that only lasted for 6 months, but still. We should be doing that now. We shouldn't stand for the lawlessness in this country. We shouldn't condone the senseless violence in this country. And I know some liberals, when this happened to Charlie Kirk, some were like, yeah, that is not right. Something's not right with that. But there are these other ones that are just woo-hoo, ha ha ha, all that crap. And no one bites dust, They need to be committed into a mental institution. They are deranged. They are brainwashed. They were indoctrinated by the school system. But also, I say, well, it all starts at home, too. Not always, but most of the time it does. People don't want to hear the truth. They'd rather be lied to. They'd rather live in a fantasy land. Like Peter Pan. I'd rather be told the truth. Today's mainstream media, it's all about opinions. It's not journalism. It's not like in the days of Walter Cronkite. Walter Cronkite, back in the 60s and the 70s, was the most trusted man in the news. My grandparents watched him. I watched him, of course, because I was part of the family, whatever. Yeah. And that was the news. But now, news is just opinions. Back then, Walter Cronkite, Ted Koppel, Jessica Savage, whatever, they told you the news. They told you the news. They didn't say their opinion. When JFK got shot, look on YouTube. There's video of it where Walter Cronkite was literally in tears. If you look at CNN and MSNBC, it's all stone face. It's like they have no empathy, sympathy for Charlie Kirk's family or for what happened to Charlie himself. And the one guy that said that, he caused this on himself from MSNBC, gone. They fired him. And he apologized. Oh, please, yeah. I don't accept his apology, and I don't accept the head of NBC News. MSNBC's news president. No, I don't accept that. Because they're the ones that are fueling the fire. It's the language that they use. A couple days ago, Van Jones demonized pretty much Charlie Kirk. If you watch the same news and say the same channels on YouTube or you're subscribed to certain people's pages on X or whatever, it's gonna influence you. Even on TikTok. TikTok's just a sewer. So is everything's a sewer on the internet. Okay. I hope and pray that what happened to Charlie Kirk really flipped on a switch to certain individuals that said, yeah, that is not right. That is not right. He spoke what he felt. He spoke what he felt in his heart. He wanted to have an open conversation with somebody, a debate or whatever, just a friendly debate, and he gets shot in the fucking head or in the neck. I'm sorry. I hope it clicks something in some of these people's deranged minds. And I found out today that his family was there. His wife, his 2 little kids. And I was like, oh my God, no. I hope to God those kids didn't see what actually happened. Or what kind of condition he was in when they got him out of there. Because I don't care if you're 1, 2, 3, and stuff, you will have some sort of maybe fuzzy memory about what happened. Or why did that man shoot my father? I was having a discussion about this with my husband. And he's like, oh, they're young, they won't remember, anything about their father. They won't remember. Bullshit! That's how that's how my husband feels, okay? Sometimes I'll admit, guys, he's like emotionally detached, okay, at times. He really is. And actually, his mother admitted it to me and stuff. Yes, it is. I still love you, honey. But I beg to differ hard with you on this topic. But though, just look what happened to JFK. Well, John Jr. Didn't see what happened. Well, I'm sure when he got older, he saw what happened to his father. He saw the tapes of what happened to his father or whatever. But it's still going to be on the internet. And their friends are going to say, oh, you know what happened to your daddy? I'm not saying when they're like, 5, 6, whatever. They'll probably say like, when they're in middle school or something like that. And maybe they will have resentments. But of the Christian faith, you have to forgive. I don't know if Erica, his wife, has forgiven the shooter or not. I seriously doubt it. But, it happens because look what happened in 2006 when a rapist, a deranged man, raped and killed all those Amish girls in that Amish schoolhouse. He killed himself, of course. But the same day, the victims' families went to the perpetrator's wife's house and said, we forgive him. We forgive you. She wasn't a part of it, but, And that blew the country's mind, the whole world's mind. Like, this community actually forgave that man that did horrendous things to these kids in that schoolhouse. But I seriously doubt that Erica has forgiven the shooter. I don't know if they've been caught yet. How much of ourselves did we reflect on after this? Did we reflect on how we are as a person? Really? I mean, did we think about our relationship with Jesus? I did. You know? Or how good we are, or how forthcoming we are, or if we see something that's wrong, we speak out about it. Well, I do. You know? Do I set aside my differences, say with my in-laws, even though they do their own thing? Maybe I know I should do better with them. And not just talk. I have a situation right now with my son. He lives in Portland. I wish he would get the hell out of there. We haven't been talking. We've been estranged. Yeah, I should move my like that. Ugh. That better? A little bit better, right? I have a situation with my son. He lives in Portland. I haven't talked to him in months. The last time I talked to my son was when he asked for money. And right away, I went to my mom's Tough Love playbook. There's a lot of people out there that say, oh, you shouldn't use tough love. You should just give them, coddling and, oh, you can do it, honey. And all that. No. Not where I come from. My mother saved my life. My son asked for money for $50 and and all that. And I said, well, I want to see your face. And what do you want to do to say that? See my face for whatever. So instead of $50, my husband gave him $100. Not for me, my husband. Hoping he would do the right thing. I don't know if you believe this or not about signs from people that are deceased or whatever. I do. And it's all happened in 3 weeks? Where one sign from my husband that passed away February 25th, 2011, there was an accident, right? Bad accident, and we got out of the way, and there was this woman, and I tried to help the woman. I got her an iced tea, and you know, stood by her and tried to comfort her as best as I could. And she pulls out a thing. She pulled out a pocket calendar and said, "Write your name and number so I can call you." And when she did that, and I was about to write it, it was February 2011. And I was like, wow. Coincidence? I don't think so. And by the way, the lady didn't call me either yet. I don't think she ever will. But anyway, so, and then that week, or the next week, we went out to Colton Steakhouse, and a song popped up. You know, people are great, beer's good, and people are crazy. And here I am in this emotional state in this restaurant. My husband's wondering what the hell's going on, and I was telling him what was happening, and I just cried. I've heard that song many times. I didn't cry. For some reason, I cried over this. Then about a week later, my husband gets a text from Sean's girlfriend, and he showed me his phone, and I was like, well, tell her to call me or something. And she called. She told me what was going with Sean. So to me, it was a build-up from the two signs of Ed, and with Claire, you know, like, something's going on here, you know. So, Sean has his points of view. He's a smart kid. And, he's out on the streets. And Claire, well, his girlfriend, I'm not going to say her name, sorry. But, Claire, me and her, we keep in contact. We talk and stuff, and her mother doesn't think we should be talking. You know, because I'm his mother. At the end, I just told her just to give him the phone or whatever, and just tell him to call me, or here, talk to your mother. And I bet you he would run from the phone anyway, you know, because he would be embarrassed. Sean wanted his girlfriend and I to talk and all that, and of course that dissipated because he figured, yeah, if her and I, right, talk, it would be like a tag team, like Ed and him did with me when I was drinking and all that stuff. So please have your thoughts and prayers go out to my son. And hopefully he'll get to a safe place and get the help that he needs. But anyway, I know, if I go in there, I'll probably end up watching Charlie Kirk stuff, see if they found the guy and all that stuff, and then listen to other people give their eulogies, pretty much, Charlie. But I hope, in a way, like, after they lay him to rest and stuff like that, that in 2 weeks that they can do these rallies and debates with a lot of security and not open space. Because very well Charlie Kirk's spirit is going to be all over the place. If you're falling down the rabbit hole with Charlie Kirk and the manhunt and all what's going on with that and stuff, uninstall, TikTok, uninstall Twitch, uninstall X. Even Hassan Piker was kind of shocked about the whole thing. I didn't see that video yet. I want to, for some odd reason. But just to get away from the white noise, and don't get sucked into the darkness. Go outside. G-Taco agrees. Just go outside. Take a walk. Get some fresh air. Feel the grass between your toes. Too much is too much. And I think all of our brains are turning into mush with this crap. More so with other people. I think with Charlie Kirk, I think, you know, we should use him as an example. And this sounds cliche, I know. I know it sounds cliche, like, oh, well, we should live by Charlie Kirk's example. You know, you know, we have to put a stop to what's going on. You know, but like I said, it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. Anyway, guys, do the right thing for yourself. Do the right thing for your family. Do the right thing for your friends, your colleagues. Just don't stand there. Stand up and say something. Do what's right and not go with their narrative. And please have continued thoughts and prayers go out to Charlie, to Erica, his two precious babies, his friends, Turning Point USA. And remember, September is National Recovery Month. Celebrate your recovery. And also, September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. If you feel like you're struggling with drugs and alcohol, you have nobody to talk to, or you know somebody that's going through the same issues, please pick up your phone, dial 988. And if you're a vet, I thank you for your service. You dial 988, press 1. 988 is a suicide life crisis hotline. They're on call 365 days a year, 24/7. It's free and confidential. And it might be hard to talk what's going on, but you'll feel some relief afterwards, trust me. So, thanks for joining me on my stream, guys. I'm Rock Queen 71 coming at you live. I'm signing off. Take care, guys. God bless. Love yous.